What's going on, ladies and gents, boys and girls? I'm your boy Jay TheDreadMan Thomas. This is the DreadMan Sports Podcast, and I'm here with my boy Wazzle Tom. He's been absent for a couple of weeks, so feel free to welcome him back. What's going on, Wazzle?
Yeah, man, it's good to be back after a little bit of a hiatus. Apologize for the absence, but I am here, happy to be here and to talk week 12, man, and week 13.
Wow, man. I mean, the playoff picture is starting to get more and more interesting by the day, or I mean by the week. Um,
Yeah,
let's go ahead and have a look at this. I mean, the top three seeds in the AFC right now are, of course, the Steelers, the Patriots, and let's see who else. Who's the third seed right now? Now, you know what? I was like, before I get into it, I was actually talking to somebody. I was actually talking to a friend about this at work, and I heard this on ESPN also. They compared the NFC and the AFC to the Eastern and Western Conference Finals in the NBA. They said that the AFC is like the Eastern Conference. They're only like two teams, so I guess that makes the Steelers the Cavaliers, and I guess that makes the Patriots Boston. That makes them the Cavaliers. So I mean that makes them the Celtics. And then you got the AFC, you got the NFC, who's like the Western Conference. The Western Conference is pretty stacked. You know, like the Thunder, the Spurs, the Clippers, the I mean, and and all that stuff. So, and like I said, it's pretty much the same way. So, I mean, what do you think so far?
yeah, absolutely. There's just when you look at the AFC, it's just really Pittsburgh and New England that you know is going to be in the AFC Championship.
Yeah,
And everyone else is just going to go by the wayside. They're not really a threat. I mean, the next two teams that are behind them are the Titans and the Jaguars.
oh yeah,
So that just goes to show you, like, okay, that's the level of competition that we're seeing in the AFC. So the AFC, that's just going to be that whole playoffs is just going to be a formality until New England and Pittsburgh go head to head. But it's interesting because they're playing in the regular season already, so we're kind of going to get a preview of that anyways.
yeah,
So it'll be interesting to see how that matchup goes out in the regular season, and what the coaches take away. But you're right, the NFC is just it is like flourished with great teams, like potential there's a lot of teams that could be in the championship game and be in the Super Bowl. But there's so many new teams. There's so many teams that are like, Philadelphia, Minnesota,
yeah.
the,
All these,
the
yeah, you're right.
Rams.
All these
Like
teams are so close together. I mean, because all these 8-4, all these 8-3, 7-2, 9-2 teams, like they're all so close together. Like the Rams, the Saints, the Carolina Panthers, and then, like I said, of course, you're right. You got the Philadelphia Eagles up in first place, and yeah, I mean all these teams are so close together, and you're right because one game could change the whole landscape. That 1 week can make all the difference.
absolutely, and yeah, like I said, like the NFC South, the Falcons are there at 7-4. They're only a game behind. So it's kind of remarkable. You might have three teams in the playoffs from one division in that division, depending on what happens with Seattle and everything.
But yeah, the
And
NFC South.
yeah, it's just that's like more of a crapshoot in terms of like who you think is going to be in there because again there's so many new teams that could potentially be in the championship game that haven't really had that success yet. So it's kind of hard to call, but I think the quality the NFC's had so far has been a lot better than the AFC.
Yeah. And right before we get into our predictions and our recap of last week, the team that fell off the most was the Kansas City Chiefs. What the hell happened to the Chiefs? It seems like they were not the same ever since they lost to the Steelers. What's going on with them?
I mean, I think you can point to basically the lack of production they're getting from Tyreek Hill. He hasn't really had a good solid game. I was kind of looking at their numbers, the numbers for him at least on that in the last couple of weeks, and he hasn't broken. I don't think he's broken 100 yards in about a month. I don't think. Since the 19th when they lost to the Raiders by one. He hasn't really played well, and then Kareem Hunt's fallen off as well. He's had a bad month. Not really consistent with how he looked in the first month of the season, where he was like the potential like a rookie of the year for sure. Potentially like an offensive looking a little pedestrian, and Alex Smith has fallen back a little bit. He's still still has good touchdown to interception ratio, but he's hasn't looked as great as he did the first month for sure. But I think the production of Hill and Kareem Hunt, that dropping is definitely responsible for this team failing in the last month.
Yeah, and you could pretty much compare them to their NFC counterpart, which is the Dallas Cowboys, because they fell off a string too, and a lot of people can attest the fact that they don't have Ezekiel Elliott, and Dak has no chemistry with Des Bryant. But I mean, in your opinion, regarding the Chiefs and the Cowboys, do you think they just ran into a string of bad luck, or do you think that they just got exposed?
I think the Cowboys got exposed more than the Chiefs. I don't think the Chiefs got exposed so much. I think maybe you could argue they've hit a bad stretch of luck. Their schedule is definitely going to be their schedule's okay going down the road into the playoffs. Whereas I think the Cowboys, I think Ezekiel Elliott was definitely a big factor for how well that team looked last year and some of the games they were doing this year. Because like I said, he didn't start off great this year. Ezekiel Elliott kind of took some time before he started playing well, and the Cowboys didn't look right at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that the Cowboys are more exposed. Like when you look at that team, like offensively, like they don't look that great. Like they're not. They don't look like they have a dynamic kind of threat. Like Dez doesn't look like an all pro, like a Pro Bowl wide receiver. So it's like once you take Dez out of there, I mean, you have Terrence Williams and Cole Beasley. Like those guys don't really scare you. And Witten's just old reliable. He's not gonna be a threat either. So it's just the offense definitely looks pedestrian.
Yeah.
Um, so I think the Cowboys have been more exposed based on success. And Dak's hitting the sophomore slump. Teams are getting more tape on him. They're able to figure him out. He's just gonna have to push through it. He's probably just gonna have to take his lumps this season
Yeah.
and then come back because they're not gonna make the playoffs. So this is basically just gonna be a learning year for him.
Yeah.
And once they get Zeke back for next year, they'll be back and hopefully they can rebound. But I think they're definitely getting exposed.
Yeah, because I called it at the beginning of the season when we did our first prediction video. I said that the Cowboys are probably going to be either 9-7 or 10-6 at best. I think that the earlier that they got Zeke's suspension over with, the better. But of course, they had to suspend him halfway through the season. So if the Cowboys even make the playoffs to begin with, then he'll be back in time for the first round of the playoff. Because they're not going to win the NFC East this year. I mean, that's obviously going to the Eagles. They'll probably end up getting the 5th or 6th seed wild card. So yeah, there's always that. But like I said, you're right. Dak's gonna have that sophomore slump, and he's gonna have to take his lumps. And like I said, if they make the playoffs this year, they're probably gonna be one and done. Because even if they do make it, look at who they gotta have to contend with. They gotta contend with the Rams. They gotta contend with the Saints. They gotta contend with the Seahawks potentially. They gotta contend with the they gotta contend with the Carolina Panthers. Might even have to contend with the Falcons. Like I said, it depends. So, and with all those teams to bunch so close together, it'll be a miracle if they do make the 5th or the 6th seed. But like I said, we'll see.
Yeah, again, all the teams you named, every day would be the worst if the Cowboys make the playoffs. Even as a 6th seed, like I said, every team I would not bet on the Cowboys going into playoffs. There's no team in the playoffs that I think is worse than the Cowboys based on everything that you named. I think every team in the playoffs would demolish the Cowboys.
Absolutely. All right, now let's get into our recap of last week. Game of the week, in your opinion, last week. I have two games of the week candidates for last week. It's the Carolina and New York Jets game because that game was so exciting and so close. And I actually did call that one right on the money. I said Carolina by 7, but they won it by 8. And of course, the Steelers and Green Bay Packers game because that game was also very, very close and exciting to watch. It's not a Steelers game unless you almost have a damn heart attack. But yeah, game of the week in your opinion for Week 12.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think the Steelers Green Bay game, which is surprising because I didn't expect to see that out of Hundley. He played really well.
Oh yeah.
But Big Ben stepped up at his best game this year. And Antonio Brown. Everyone was talking about like how well Julio's probably my not to get ahead, but probably player of the week
Yeah.
just based on the numbers he put up.
Yeah.
But Antonio Brown showed up, man. He still was out there like I'm still the best receiver in the league.
Oh yeah.
And get in prime time to catches he made, especially late in the game. I think that was the first down catch on the sideline to keep the chains moving.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it was an exciting game. It was back and forth. It was neck and neck. The Steelers pulled it out. So do you think this is the Steelers like playing down to the level of competition, or you think this is like a turnaround for the Packers a little bit, like or maybe the turnaround for Brett Hundley because this is probably his best game. So do you think this is a fluke game or what?
That's a good question because they got blown out at Lambeau Field the week before by the Ravens. That's pretty much what confused me the most out of this whole game. And the Steelers, of course, they haven't been known to play down to the competition, but it seems like Brett Hundley did. I think this is more good Brett Hundley than it was, the Steelers not playing so well. But the thing is, the Steelers secondary did get burned, and they can't play that way against Tom Brady and the Patriots. So I'm gonna go ahead and say, despite the fact, in them losing, I'm gonna go ahead and say, good Packers.
Yeah.
Now, next up, like you said, you already said Julio Jones your player of the week, and I actually have three players of the week this week. Jared Goff probably is mine because he went toe to toe with Drew Brees and won, and I did not expect that at all. So like I said, if you have Julio as your player of the week, I see why. If you have AB as your player of the week, I see why. But for me, Jared Goff is definitely in the top three this week. But yeah, what about you?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Jared Goff, he had a really good game, and that was another game that I was surprised by. In terms of, I thought it'd be on the Saints on there. I was still in the camp where I was waiting for the Rams to really kind of convince me that they're for real, and this is the game. This is the game that they did that, and I take the Rams serious as a contender, based on that performance.
Right.
So yeah, I could see Jared Goff. Jared Goff had a really good game, and you're right. He outplayed Drew Brees. But you're right. That's not a bad option. But the stuff that Julio Jones was doing was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And he just showed out. And it was so funny because it's almost like he hasn't had that really big game this season like that in that fashion, and then he just comes out, puts up 250 plus yards on receiving on there, and then essentially like he almost gets a majority, like a good chunk of his numbers. Like he basically got like right past the 1,000-yard receiving mark in that game, and he basically put his numbers back up in there for respectability purposes. But
right.
Yeah, he played really well.
Right, and also like I said, you can't sleep on AB. Of course, Julio Jones says, "Oh my God!" Like the sports commentators were like, "Oh my gosh, I don't think anybody has a better game than Julio Jones this week." Antonio Brown goes out there and says, "Hold my damn beer." Catches 2 touchdowns and then has a damn game-winning catch that saves the Steelers. So you can't really sleep on him either.
No, he had a terrific game, and like I said, you're right. That's just it was only fitting that he had a game like that after following Julio Jones' performance. He did that in prime time with the entire country watching him. You're right. Antonio Brown is still the top receiver, but yeah, it was good all around.
Yeah. Now, most improved team of the week. I'm gonna do a 2-in-1. The most improved team of the week and the choke of the week It actually happened in the same damn game. The Buffalo Bills are most improved team of the week. In my case, in KC is the choke of the week.
Okay. Choke of the week. You know what? Can we say Crabtree?
Oh, absolutely. That was the chain. Well, actually, that was the chain snatch of the week. But Akeem Talib had that coming. He had it coming for a long time. And the thing is, Akeem Talib is very good at getting in people's heads. So you kind of have to expect that. I seen it coming a mile away. It's only so long you can have two. Like a dynamic corner and a high-headed dynamic corner and aggressive wide receiver go up against each other and there not be fireworks.
No, no, not at all. But yeah, it's just so sad. Like just hearing the stories afterwards that like Crabtree taped it to his chest to make sure it was going to stay on there. Like that makes it even more sad in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
if you're going to get the chain snatched, so don't take the precautions to not get it. It's almost like you knew the chain was going to get snatched.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that just made it all worse. Um, but yeah, he gonna cry in the press box. He gonna cry in the press box.
My man. All right. Let's go. Thursday, November 30th. We got Thursday night football. Washington, another divisional matchup. Washington Redskins at the Dallas Cowboys in Jerry's World. Who do you got?
Okay, this is a very interesting game. Thursday night, divisional game. Both teams got the same record, 5-6.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the Redskins are playing much better, and I feel like they're trending in the right direction, whereas the Cowboys aren't. The Redskins, they just to me are the better team right now going forward. Even though they lost 2 of the last 3 games, the other 2 games they lost to the Vikings and Saints recently, but they were close games. They should have beat the Saints. Didn't back on them on that. I just think right now Dallas is straight up collapsing without Zeke, as we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
They haven't scored double digits since Ezekiel Elliott got suspended. So this offense is like really, really taxed right now without Zeke. Dak hasn't been playing well. He's got like 8 turnovers in the last 3 games. The offense looks mediocre. And meanwhile, Washington, they got Perrine on the running back. He's been showing up right now since taking over that starting role and replacing Rob Kelly. He's had a couple of 100-yard games. Crowder finally showed up last week. He had scored his first touchdown. Had a big 100-yard game. I think the defenses are a wash. I think both of them are not great defenses. So I think this could be a shootout, but Dallas looks really depleted. I think Dallas won. I think Dallas won the first game between the two when they played. They played in Washington last game. So I think Washington gets them back at Jerry World.
Yeah.
I think Washington's going to win this game 28-10.
Wow. And keep in mind that this is pretty much danger zone territory for either team, which means if it's embarrassing to say this because I think that if the Redskins lose this game, they could probably still bounce back with 2 or 3 more wins and still maybe have a shot at 5th or 6th seed. But if the Cowboys lose this game, they could forget about the playoffs altogether.
Yeah, well, why do you think that? Because they would be in the same situation record-wise. No different. Like if the Redskins lost, they'd be 5-7. But you think the 5-7 Cowboys would have a harder time?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, because like right now they're not. Pretty much just to piggyback off what you said, like they're just not clicking right now. So, I mean, despite them having the same record, the Cowboys actually need this a lot more than the Redskins.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think for that reason is why I'm probably going to give this a slight edge to the Cowboys. If the Redskins pull this one out, it wouldn't surprise me, but I'm going to go ahead and give this one to the Redskins. I'm going to say 23-21. It's going to be close. All right, next up, we got a potential game of the week here. The Minnesota Vikings at the Atlanta Falcons, and the Falcons are at home in this game. Who you got?
This is a good one. Case Keenum had a really, really nice Thanksgiving game. He played really well. He was running that option really well. Meanwhile, the Falcons, came back, had a big game. I just think between the two, I like the Falcons because of the defense. I like the Vikings because of the defense. I like them overall. I think they got a better overall squad, both on offense and defense. Obviously, the Falcons got their weapons with Julio, with Sanu, Tevin Coleman. So it's interesting, but I like the Vikings. I think they're going to dominate at the line of scrimmage here, and I think the Vikings are going to pull this one out. You're right; it is a potential game of the week. Both teams for the number one seed. Um, I like the Vikings in this game. I'm gonna say the Vikings are gonna win this. Um, 24-16.
Wow. That's a bold statement, especially with the Falcons at home. Now, I like what the Vikings bring to the table. I mean, Case Keenum, he has been doing work. He has been pulling out games. I mean, miraculously, and they're clicking. I mean, you know, the amount of firepower that the Falcons have, on the offensive side of the ball, it's ridiculous. Their running game is great. Julio Jones is top two receivers in the NFL right now, and I think that the Falcons actually probably have a better defense than the Vikings too. This game is it's pretty much gonna be a dogfight. This game is gonna be another one of those games that come down to penalties and turnovers. Both of these teams are gonna play a perfect game. It's probably gonna be that one mistake that's gonna end up costing one team the game. And I actually like the Falcons' chances better than this one. I'm gonna go ahead and say 28-24 Falcons.
28-24 Falcons. Okay. Yeah, I mean, probably if you're giving them the home field cushion, are you thinking of?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's fair.
Next up, another divisional matchup. The Houston Texans going up against the Tennessee Titans, and the Titans are at home in this game.
Mm. So, yeah, this one obviously not as, I mean, not going to be, it's a divisional game, but not as interesting as the one we just talked about.
Yeah.
The Titans are, tied for first right now in that division. Um, the Texans, they just didn't show up again against the Ravens. They had that opening drive score, but then it just kind of fell off of them after that. I mean, Davion Clowney, he's doing great on that defensive line, but still, this team is it's just a shell of itself. The way it looks when they had Deshaun Watson back there, it's just scary. I mean, Hopkins is still doing his thing.
Yeah.
God bless him, but it's just Tom Savage. Tom Savage is just terrible, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I think this could be Mariota. We're still waiting for like Mariota to have like a really nice big game. Maybe this is it right here. I think this might be a game where he throws 2 to 3 touchdowns. Maybe he runs for one, but I'm gonna go with the Vikings in this game. I think the Vikings are gonna. I'm thinking Vikings.
Titans.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Titans. I'm gonna go with the Titans in this game. Titans will win this 27-17.
Ooh, you actually kind of had it right where I was going to have it. The Texans, they have a good defense, but let's face it, on the offensive side of the ball, it's a one-man show. DeAndre Hopkins is literally carrying the load, and he's earning every last penny of his paycheck that he's getting from the Texans. The Titans, they are not spectacular, but the thing is, they still manage to get it done. And the reason why they manage to get it done is because of their running game and the fact that Mariota can scramble. But yeah, the Titans are at home in this game too, so you got to get the slight edge to them in that fashion too. So I'm gonna go ahead and say Titans are gonna win this one over the Texans. Let's say 27-20.
Sure.
All right, next up we got the Kansas City Chiefs going up against the New York Jets. Now the Chiefs, they really do need this win because guess what? Throughout the entire month of November, they didn't win a single game. They lost every game in November, so they really do need this. And they're going up against a Jets team who gave the Carolina Panthers all they could handle. And if you ask me, at this point in the season, the Panthers are better than the Chiefs are. But yeah, before I give my prediction, what do you think? Chiefs, Jets.
Yeah. I kind of like the Jets in this game. You know what? Josh McCown has not looked bad. He hasn't looked bad this season. He's actually putting together like a respectable year. You know what I mean? It's like it's not flashy, but he kind of gets the job done, so to speak. It's just he's kind of surprising me, and I think he's been a big reason for the little success the Jets have had. But at least the competitiveness that we've seen in some of these Jets games. The Chiefs. It's interesting because the Chiefs signed Darrell Revis.
Yeah.
So Revis Island will make its appearance in New York again.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's like a desperation move. I don't know if that's a good signing or a bad signing. It just shows how kind of like desperate the Chiefs are on that defense because they get shredded. And this is like a game where like Robbie Anderson, who's been coming on big for them lately, have a big game. Kirk can have a good game. The only thing that's going to save the Kansas City Chiefs, like we talked about, is if Tyreek Hill comes back. He needs to do he needs a punt return. He needs he needs a couple of touchdowns. That's going to be the only saving grace for Kansas City. I don't know if I see that happening. I think right now I kind of like the Jets, how the Jets have been playing as of late. I like the Jets in this 28-20.
Yeah. And ironically enough, this is the third team this year in the NFC. In the AFC East that they've gone up against because they went up against the Patriots and they went up against the Bills. So that is kind of strange. But kind of what I like, kind of just to repeat what I said. Like the Jets, they had a phenomenal game against Carolina, and Carolina is like right at this point they're better than the Chiefs are. You're right. Their saving grace is kind of going to be their running game, and if Alex Smith can get his, if he can get his situation together, then it should be close. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I might actually see the Chiefs coming back from this because they can't lose. They can't keep up. If they're going to break the losing streak, it's got to be against the Jets at home. So I'm going to say, I'm going to go ahead and say 27-28 Chiefs.
Okay. You know what's interesting? It's like the Chiefs. I feel like the Chiefs. You're right. They haven't won the month of November. They've been playing poorly. Then you look at the division. They're still a game up right now in the AFC West. That's crazy. It's like you would think that they'd be like either out of the playoffs with that losing streak, but they're still like even if they lose this game, they're still going to be in first place. That's just crazy.
The worst that can happen right now is if they lose out. That's the worst that can happen.
Oh yeah, someone's got to get fired if that happens.
Oh yeah, definitely. All right, next up we got the Denver Broncos going up against the Miami Dolphins. Who you got? Broncos, Dolphins.
Oh man, this is a tough game to think about. So I don't know who the Denver quarterback's going to be.
I think it's Osweiler. I don't think it's Simeon this week. I think it's going to be Osweiler.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? Whoever the quarterback is, whether it's Paxton Lynch, Simeon, Osweiler, I like Matt Moore over any of those three guys. I think Matt Moore is playing a little bit better than those three, those set of quarterbacks. The Dolphins, they lost the playmaker for the next couple of weeks. Damian Williams, their running back. Yeah. He was. I picked him up in fantasy, and he's actually he's a playmaker. I mean, in terms of he gets few touches, but he's able to do something with them. And when I watched the game against the Patriots, and he seemed a little more dynamic and explosive than Drake, and he seemed to move the ball better when he was carrying it or catching it for that matter. So they're without him, so it's just a matter of how well the running game is going to be when they're just going on Kenyon Drake. Denver, they're on the road in Miami. They haven't won on the road yet.
Yeah.
And they're going to be without Talib. Plus, they give up a lot of sacks. So, this could be a good game for Dominic Cameron Wake. They might flourish this game. Get to the quarterback. But you know what? The Broncos defense, even though they had a couple of bad games in recent past, they've only had a couple of bad. The only games that really got kind of exposed were against really good quarterbacks with either Carson Wentz or Tom Brady. They've been able to keep the mediocre to bad quarterbacks in check. So I like Denver in this game. Slightly. I like Denver 21-19.
This one is it's a toss up to me. Because at this point, a loss to the Broncos. I don't think they're gonna get anywhere in the postseason, or I don't think they're gonna make the postseason this year. But
neither of these teams is playing for the postseason.
Oh yeah, definitely. But the Dolphins I think might have a better shot at this. This year. It's really. One, like I said, it really is a toss up on this game. Because it's gonna come down to. It's gonna be another one of those games that come down to mistakes. The Broncos can't seem to get their quarterback situation together, but their defense bails them out time and time again. The Dolphins is the opposite. They got the opposite problem on their end of the ball. Jay Cutler, he does what he does. He's not spectacular, but the thing is, like, he'll manage to pull out a close game. It depends on the level of competition they go up against. I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but I'm actually gonna give it to the Broncos too. I'm gonna give it to them by 3 points, 21-24.
Okay.
Next up, another AFC South divisional matchup. Colts and Jags, and the Jags are at home in this game. Who you got?
Oh gosh, this is very easy. This is Jags all the way.
Yeah.
This is too easy of a game to predict right now because the Jags shut them out earlier in the season. Had 10 sacks. This Colts team doesn't look any better in my opinion. This could almost be another shutout. Um, Fournette didn't even play that game against the Colts, where they got Fournette in this game. Um, it's and then plus the Colts already got some other injuries on their offensive line right now. I think they're missing. I think they might be out without their starting center and right guard. Um, Calais Campbell, might get 3 or 4 sacks in this game. I mean, Kobe's going to be on his ass running for his life most of this game. Um, I think the Jags. This is easy money right here. Jags 28 to 7. I think.
Yeah, as sad as it is, and as much as talent as Jacoby Brissett has, let's face it, that Jaguars defense is going to have that boy running for his life. Frank Gore, he can only do so much. They're pretty much going to jam him on a line of scrimmage. Like, the most he can hope for is probably about 3 to 5 yards per carry, and they're not the Colts aren't getting it together as far as their receiving. Because Jacoby Brissett he's going to be under so much pressure that he's not going to have time to throw accurate passes. And as mediocre as as Blake Bortles is playing, I think that he might do just enough to get them there or to pull this game out. But like I said, I see Jacoby Brissett running for his life the entire all 60 minutes of this game. I'm gonna say 24-16 Jags.
Yeah, he got sacked 10 times in the first game. So
Jesus, yeah.
I know it's gonna be. He's gonna definitely have to go through some protocol after this game.
Yeah, definitely. Next up, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going up against the Green Bay Packers. Who you got?
All right. So I think we both agreed that that Brett Hundley had a pretty good game, and it was basically like a little bit of a more so on his performance and the Pittsburgh letdown.
Yeah.
So and plus the Packers are still playing for potentially a playoff spot, potentially trying to stay afloat long enough for Aaron Rodgers to come back. Mm-hmm. So this game means a lot more to Green Bay than it does for the Bucs. The Bucs are not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Plus, this game is in Lambeau. Tampa doesn't impress me at all. Meanwhile, Green Bay, even with the loss of Aaron Rodgers, and losing Ty Montgomery and Aaron and Jones, they still got Jamal Williams, who had a pretty good game, mm-hmm. And Devontae Adams is also coming on as he's kind of becoming the new #1 receiver right now, kind of taking over where Jordy Nelson's been for the last few years.
Oh yeah,
and not on that roster. So I like Green Bay in this game. I'm going to say Green Bay 23-10.
I actually got it a little bit closer than that. Because the Bucks defense. Here's the thing: after the second quarter, they run out of gas. And Brett Hundley, he did look pretty good against the Steelers, but of course the Steelers played down to their competition. But like I said, I think it was more good Packers than mediocre Steelers because he showed that he can sling the ball out there, and like I said, against a Bucks team that runs out of gas, that's not going to be hard for him to do. I'm actually going to go ahead and say 21. Nah, let's say I'm going to go ahead and say 24-20 Packers.
Okay, 4-point game.
4-point game. Next up, this one is an interesting one to me because these two teams don't really face each other a lot. We got the Detroit Lions on the road against the Baltimore Ravens. Who do you got?
Yeah, this is an interesting game. Both teams also vying for a playoff spot. The Ravens, I think, can probably afford to lose this game more than Detroit can
Yeah.
in terms of still having a chance to make the playoffs. Um, you know what? I was looking at the when I was kind of looking at this game. I was looking at the Ravens schedule, and I was trying to see like what what game kind of looks like what game to me shows like them as a potentially being a good a good team, like their actual like a better than a mediocre, but like a worthy playoff team. And I don't think the Ravens really have like a good win on their schedule. Like none of their wins actually impress me to the point where I think that they're actually believable
Yeah.
in terms of a good team. They did shut out the Packers recently, but I'm not gonna call that because that was again that's without Rodgers. As you know, even though they looked good last week against the Steelers, but none of their wins are great. Meanwhile, the Lions have a few good respectable wins on their record, and even though they lost a tough one to Minnesota, I still I like them going in this game, even though it's on the road. Apparently, they're playing pretty well on the road. They're 4-1 right now outside of Ford Field. It all depends. I'm just worried about the health of Stafford because he injured himself late in that game. So I
Yeah.
don't know how mobile he's going to be. Um, I was surprised he came back in that Thanksgiving game to begin with. I thought he was done. I thought he was on the IR, but he came back on the next series. So hopefully he's healthy. Um, Marvin Jones Jr. He's balling out right now as
Oh
a
yeah, definitely.
phenomenal receiver. He seems to have a crazy catch for a touchdown in every game he's playing right now. Um, Meanwhile, there's no one offensively that I like on the Ravens. No one really strikes me as a threat. I like Detroit in this game. I think again, like I said, this game is more meaningful for Detroit. Um, I'm gonna go with Detroit in this game. 20-17.
All right. You make very interesting points this game. Now the Ravens they did look good. Again in the Texas game. The Lions. I mean, the thing is, and you're right. The Ravens don't really have a super impressive dominating win this year. I mean, and you can't really have that against the
Yeah,
Lions. Against the Lions, I mean, and the thing is, like, the Lions probably have one of the better defenses that they're going to face this year. I mean, because look at what the Steelers did to them in the game against the Ravens. They held them to 9 points. So yeah, and the thing is, the Lions they had a pretty good game. Well, they scored. They were shut out as far as touchdowns, but Matt Stafford actually flung the ball for over 400 yards against the Steelers. And I think that the Lions will probably do just enough to beat the Ravens at home. I'm gonna go ahead and say 28, mm, 28-21.
28-21. Okay.
Yeah.
So you think just enough, but you still think they're gonna put up points?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, this is gonna be a 3 or 4 touchdown game for both teams. So I mean, it's just gonna come down to this is gonna be another one of those games that comes down to turnovers. Also,
Okay.
next up, wow, we got the New England Patriots on the road against the Buffalo Bills. Now,
Okay.
I've already got my prediction in my head, and what I say might surprise you. But go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead. What's making your prediction?
Um, I mean, it might surprise me. I think I like the Patriots in this game. I mean, the Patriots haven't shown me to believe any reason that they would not win this game. They just churn out victories. They're one of the best scoring offenses in the league. The Bills, they righted the ship in terms of getting the quarterback situation corrected. Um, but still, they only put up only put up 16. Even if it was at Arrowhead, we've already kind of acknowledged that Kansas City can get shredded. And I mean, they had a stretch of bad games where they got trounced.
Yeah.
And the Patriots can easily do that. The Patriots can put up 40 on a lot of teams. They might do it in this game.
Hmm.
It's in Buffalo, so I'll give them a little bit of credit for that. Buffalo's been a solid team on at home at 4-1. Um, but the Patriots haven't lost. Patriots are actually undefeated on the road. So um, I like the Patriots as it is anyway. But when you look at those numbers, I think this is a divisional game. I think it's going to be close. Um, but I'm going to say it's going to be say 34 to 26. 34-26.
Now, keep in mind, the Patriots and the Bills have to face each other twice. The Buffalo Bills. They are a very solid defense in this league. And of course, Tom Brady. We all know Tom Brady shreds secondaries. But the key to victory for the Bills in this game is like the linebackers. They're really gonna have to pressure and get to Tom Brady. And I think that if they can do that to Matt Ryan in the Falcons, then I believe that they could also do it to Tom Brady and the Patriots. Of course, we all know that what the Patriots can get in there and do. Tom Brady, he's one of the goats of football, and Bill Belichick's one of the best coaches that this game has ever seen. But yeah, Tyrod Taylor. In order for the Bills to win this game on the offensive side of the ball, Tyrod's gonna have to scramble a lot. He's gonna have to throw a lot of those short little screen passes to where he's gonna have to throw passes so fast that even he doesn't have time to get set for him. Hopefully they don't turn the ball over because if they do, it's going to be a long night. And of course, LaShawn McCoy, he's going to have the game of his life in this game. He's going to have to at least put up 150 yards rushing to open up the passing game, so that way that the defense will be looking. The Patriots defense will be able to look for that. But me, I always pick one upset for this week, and believe it or not, this is the one that I'm picking. I'm picking the Bills by 3 points over the Patriots, 25-28.
Wow.
Yep.
So you think that like you said, you think LaShawn McCoy is gonna have a big game?
Yeah, absolutely. Because he's gonna have to. They don't really have a choice, so they're gonna have to really work that into the scheme. So in order for them to have a shot at winning this game, or for them to win it convincingly, LaShawn McCoy is gonna have to ball out.
Gotcha.
All right, next game we got the the San Francisco 49ers going up against the Chicago Bears. Who do you got?
Oh man! All right, in my wheelhouse. You know what? I'm ready. I'm ready for the Garoppolo era to begin.
Mm-hmm.
My boy came in late after CJ got injured. You know, cool 2 for 2 for only like 18 yards, but threw a touchdown at the end of the game. That was a garbage touchdown and had no meaning whatsoever other than a spread, but still looked good, man. Like it was just very very brief, very very small window of the future. But you know what? I think the future's going to start looking a little bit brighter. I'm probably extremely biased in this opinion, but I'm looking forward to this game. I'm looking forward to seeing how Garoppolo looks, how this offense looks with him under center. Um, you know what? Even with the Chicago kind of being like, kind of like sneaky good on defense, at least in some of these games. Obviously not in the last game against the Eagles, but
Yeah.
beforehand, they were still kind of sneaky good defensively. They got that, win against the Panthers and to beat the Steelers. So they got some weird wins on their record, but this is definitely a team that, in terms of a team in San Francisco, that they're not gonna like catch them slipping. You know what I mean? Like it's not like a great team that comes to Chicago and then overlooks the Bears, and the Bears catch them slipping. Like San Francisco is gonna play hard. team. So they need to involve him every which way. Him, Cohen, the works. I think this game's just going to fall on who performs better, either the run game in Chicago or the quarterback play on San Fran. And right now, I'm going to be completely biased in this pick. I'm going to go with San Fran, and I think I smell like a three touchdown game, and the future's looking bright. And us screwing up our draft spot, but
Yeah.
who cares? Because I'm here for the Garoppolo era.
Right.
So I'm going to go Niners in this game. Niners 24, Bears 16.
Right. You make very good cases for both teams winning this game. I mean, and for anybody who's watching, if you do pick the Chicago Bears, I see why. If you pick the 49ers, I see why. But you're right. It's still going to be a matter of who clicks on what side of the ball first. I mean, it's going to be a matter of if the Chicago Bears have a better running game or if the 49ers have a better passing game. I mean, both defenses, I mean, especially the secondaries, give up a lot of points. I mean, that goes without saying. But it's going to be a matter of who can pressure the quarterback more on the defensive side of the ball. And believe it or not, I actually like the 49ers better in this game, unbelievably. I mean, I see them going into Soldier Field and actually doing a little bit of something. Give me the 49ers 21-17.
All right. That's fair.
Next up, we got the the Cleveland Browns going up against the LA Chargers. Who you got? And the Chargers are at home. The Chargers are at home.
The Chargers are at home.
Yeah.
They're playing well. That defense is looking real good. Yeah, they had two back-to-back big games. And this is just easy win for the Chargers. I think. I don't think there's too much to say about it. Flip was here right now. Flip would give us some good in-depth detail about Melvin Ingram and that defensive line and Gordon and Phillip taking over on the offense. And Keenan Allen's playing really well. Man.
Oh yeah,
Keenan
definitely.
Allen, he's coming up having a big season. Yeah, it's going to be the Chargers in this. I'm looking at the spread right now. They got Chargers. Chargers are favored by 2 touchdowns. Which, that's but well tight. It is the Browns though, so, and they're now Los Angeles. Yeah. I'm gonna go with Chargers in this game. Chargers 24. I'm gonna go Browns 9.
Now the Browns aren't playing for a damn thing but a better draft pick, in the upcoming year. And believe it or not, the Chargers are actually sort of kind of playing for something. So, I mean, I don't really think a loss will hurt them too much. Morale wise, it would hurt to the Browns because the Browns haven't won a damn game all year. But the thing is, like, you'd be stupid to not really pick the Chargers in this game because Melvin Gordon, he's good for putting up yards. Keenan Allen, I mean, he's been doing tremendous work. I mean, and Phillip Rivers looking like he's getting that one last second win before he retires because I think he's only going to have like 2 or 3 more years left in him. So why not ball out right now? I'm gonna give me the Chargers in this game 28-14.
Okay. Exactly 2 touchdowns.
Yep, pretty much. Next up, we got the New York Giants on the road against the Oakland Raiders. Who you got?
Yeah, and Eli's benched, right?
Yep, Geno Smith is starting.
Geno Smith, wow, I never thought I'd see the day that I thought, you know what I mean? Like I never thought I'd see the day where Eli would get benched.
Yeah.
I figured Eli would retire. I thought Eli would retire before that ever happened.
Oh no.
But that active streak got snapped. Consecutive start. Yeah, this is even without Crabtree, I think this is an easy win for the Raiders. You know what I mean? Like we talked about, they're in the same boat, same record as as the Chargers are in that division. They're only a game back right now.
Yeah.
They're still playing for something competitive. They're in Oakland. Um, East Coast team traveling west. I always look at that as well.
Yeah.
In terms of the travel and the kind of lag that affects on teams.
Yeah.
I mean, this team offensively, the Giants, they don't need anything else hindering their performance. But then you got, first you're losing your quarterback gets benched for Geno, and then you're traveling west. Um, they yeah, man, this is gonna be the Raiders in this game.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Raiders. Uh, Carr could probably put up
Yeah.
3 to 4 touchdowns in the squad.
Wow.
I'm gonna say Raiders. Yeah, I think I'll say 20. No, I'll say 30. I'm gonna say 30. Raiders 30 to 14 Giants.
All right. Now keep in mind we haven't seen Geno Smith in pretty much a whole year, a whole 365 days since we even seen him throw a football on the damn field. And the Raiders defense is starting to, they're starting to, get the ball rolling a little bit more. And so is Derek Carr. Derek Carr is a slow and steady wins the race kind of quarterback, but everything for the thing is they are the Giants are a lost cause, or like the thing is they're just so lost right now. Their coaching, their offensive, they're all over the place. The reason why they're losing right now is because they have no structure whatsoever. If they had some kind of structure, I believe I believe Odell Beckham was the beginning of the end. That was the domino effect. Them losing Odell in the first 2 or 3 games of the season. I believe if they had him, they could be at least like 6-3, 6-4 by now, something like that. 6-5, somewhere along the lines of that. But they're just lost that. They just lost the seat right now, and against an Oakland team who's at home, they're gonna get picked apart. So I'm giving me Oakland in this game, 27-14. Yep, Oakland by 13 points. Next up, another NFC South divisional matchup. We got the Panthers going up against the Saints, and the Saints are just now coming off of a loss to a very, very tough Rams team. Who you got, Panthers or Saints?
Yeah, I think it's a potential game of the week for looking at both teams. Both teams are one of the classes. They're top, in the top tier in the NFC, just behind the Eagles. They're jockeying for position right now in that NFC South. That's all competitive right now, especially because the Falcons are on both their tails.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in New Orleans right now. Saints are 4-1 at home, but the Panthers are actually 5-1 on the road.
Wow.
They've been looking pretty good. Cam still he's still not playing the position well, but he's still getting the win based on his legs. He's still winning games on the ground.
Yeah.
With that, so you can't count that out. However, the Saints defense has looked impressive. They only gave up, I guess you could say they only gave up 26 to the Rams. But other than that, they've looked pretty good in the other games. Meanwhile, the Panthers defense kind of bailed them out in that game against the Jets with those defensive scores. I just don't. I look at the quarterback position. I'm like, who's playing better this season? I'm like, Drew Brees is playing better. And I like the running game overall. Ingram and Kamara. That game is that running back is a lethal dude. I just think there's more firepower on the Saints end, and I like that squad overall. I mean, Panthers are just now they got Greg Olsen back last week. That was a missing piece for him. He's still kind of working his way back to the full 100%, but I just don't think it's enough right now to combat the Saints. I like the Saints in this. It's going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be like a 23 to 18 game. The Saints.
Wow. Both teams are pretty. are packing on the offensive side of the ball. It wouldn't surprise me if both these teams put up 28 points or more on each other. I mean, to me, this is going to be just that kind of a dogfight. It's going to come down to who. I mean, defensively, I actually like the Panthers better, but offensively, I do like the Saints better. So if you ask me who I like better between the Saints offense and the Panthers defense, because I think Cam is pretty much he's gonna be able to score on the Saints defense. I mean, no doubt about that. But I actually do like the I actually do like the Saints offense better than the Panthers defense. Even though the Panthers defense are very very good at getting sacks, they're at this point their front six is better than their secondary are. So I mean, you can't really count that out. But as long as Drew Brees has got that arm, I mean, he's always got a chance. And you're right, Cam Newton, he's been making plays scrambling. I mean, I think like he does have the record for most rushing yards this year for a quarterback. You can't really go wrong with either team. It really is a toss-up kind of a game.
Does the previous game matter? Because they played earlier in the season, the Saints dominated them. Cam looked pretty crappy.
Yeah.
He threw three picks. He threw 3 picks in that game. Meanwhile, Breeze was efficient, 22 or 29, 3 touchdowns. So I mean,
but you got to keep in mind. You got to keep in mind that the Saints are coming off of a loss to the Rams, and the Panthers are just coming off of a win from the Jets. So, do you think that could hurt their morale?
Well, the thing was that Jets game was closer than maybe it should have, right? You know what I mean? Like that Jets, the Jets almost kind of stole one. The Jets they kind of gave them toe to toe. It depends on how you feel coming off of that kind of win. Like you kind of breathe a sigh of relief after that win, and then you get smoked next week by the Saints. I don't know. I could see that happening.
Yeah. It might hurt me to do this, but I've actually got the Saints by 7 points in this game, 35-28. Hopefully, I don't regret that pick.
No, I don't think you will.
Yeah. All right, next up, AFC West divisional matchup: the Rams versus the Cardinals. Who you got?
All right, Cardinals are hanging around right now. They don't seem to be wanting to go away, despite who they have, at quarterback and some of the deficiencies that might be apparent. That was a good win against the Jags. But this LA Rams game, different story. The LA Rams they could be the second best team in the NFC. They've just looked really well offensively. Defensively, they're playing good too. They were able to kind of keep Breeze and the Saints down. I think this will be a much easier offense for the Rams to kind of defend. The Rams have surprised me because I was really thinking that everything depended on Gurley over the course of the year early on, but now I'm beginning to realize how well Jared Goff's been playing, and that this team can thrive regardless. Like Gurley does not have to put up 100 yards and 2-3 touchdowns for the Rams offense to jive. Like their receivers like Kupp, Woods when he was healthy, and Sammy Watkins who hasn't had like a really big game, but he's still in there. He's still lingering.
Yeah. And they even have Melvin Gordon as a slot. Melvin Gordon can't even play slot.
Yeah. And then even like Tavon Austin on occasion when they kind of throw him in there for the trick plays and the reversals.
Yeah.
This is a dynamic team.
And you also got to keep in mind that the Cardinals actually gave the Jags all they could handle, and that's something.
Yeah, you're right. It is, and we wonder. I just wonder if that was like if they threw the kitchen sink for that win, and now they're gonna have a letdown. If they're gonna be emotionally tired and fatigued and drained from that victory, and just fall flat against the Rams. Although you could say maybe the Rams had a really good win, and maybe they'll be caught slipping against the Cardinals. think it's going to be. I think this will be a. I think this will be a close game. Just because it's the NFC West divisional game, and these games always lend themselves to be kind of tough, thought out games. But the Rams, straight up punked them early on in the season.
Oh yeah.
33 nothing. So I think this will be a little bit closer in Arizona. I'm going to go with the Rams. However, go with Los Angeles. Say 26. 26. I'm going to say Cardinals 13.
All right. The Cardinals have the weapons to score on offense, but the thing, it's all a matter of if their quarterback wants to act right. Jared Goff, his weapons are making him look very, very good, and the Rams' defense is nothing to sneeze at either. But I think that in this game, the Rams actually might be better on both sides of the ball, and I think that at this point, the Rams' defense is better than the Cards' offense, and it really does. It really does kind of pain me to say that, but hey, we're honest. We're honest here on the podcast. But I actually have this being a closer game too. But I still got the result being the same. I've got this 27-31 Rams. Next up, prime time. Philadelphia Eagles on the road at Seattle. The 12th man. Who you got?
This is a real good game. I'm glad, man. It's Sunday night game. I'm glad that they're not shaping out to be four pick games. This is a really, really interesting game.
Oh yeah.
Carson Wentz, no matter what defense is thrown at him, he seems to be playing well. He seems to play well no matter what. So even if it's in Seattle against the 12th man, it's not going to surprise me if Wentz has a good game and throws three or four touchdowns. He's just playing that well. Him and Brady is a toss-up for me for MVP right now. It's so close. Just because Brady's the numbers Brady has right now is crazy. I would still say that Wentz overall is probably more. I can probably contribute. He's more valuable to the Eagles based on his performance and how he's playing and their success. But it's close between him and Brady for MVP. So meanwhile, the Seahawks.
They're missing Cliff Averill, they're missing Richard Sherman, they're missing Cam Chancellor, all gone for the rest of the year, and Earl Thomas is just now coming back. So yeah.
Yeah, you're right. The defense still it's a far cry from the Legion of Boom as we once used to know it as. And the team overall, like I said, offensively, they still haven't kind of figured it out yet to where I feel confident about them. So I don't know if I see that against the Eagles. I don't know if I see that happening with this team getting it together against the Eagles. I like the Eagles in this game. I think they're going to continue to kind of work in the run game more with Blunt and Ajay. And Zach Ertz is coming on as probably one of the premier tight ends, behind obviously Gronk and Kelsey. And that Nelson Aguilar, Jeffrey, it's pretty special as the overall team. I don't know if they're going to be doing the electric side. They might be doing the truffle. I can't even think of that dance right now. I'm trying to think of it right. They might be doing the Cupid shuffle.
I know what you mean.
They might be doing the Cupid shuffle in the two. If they bust that out, that'd be crazy.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
So I like the Eagles. I'm gonna say Eagles. I'm a respectable game. I'm gonna say Eagles 24, Seattle 20.
Now, every single week, people have been waiting for the Philadelphia Eagles train to run out of gas. And guess what? They have not ran out of gas yet. So, yes, I was convinced 3 weeks ago that Philly wasn't a one trick pony, that they were the real deal. Some people still need more convincing. Some people will still like, man, I'm not going to be believing until Carson Wentz wins a playoff game. And the thing is, I don't blame you if you feel that way. But I mean, they are lighting it up in the postseason right now, in the regular season right now. And with 3/4 of the Legion of Boom missing on the Seahawks, Carson Wentz can light their secondary up. I mean, he really can. I mean, and the thing is, he won't even really need to because Philly's run game is so damn good. And yeah, and Russell Wilson, he has an arm and he can run. He's just not that accurate. But the thing is, his legs save him, and the fact that his receivers actually his passes never really end up right on the mark. He actually makes his receivers work for the catches. As in, what I mean by that, his receivers actually has to go up for the ball and get it, as in the ball landing right in his hands. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I mean, you be the judge. But I mean, of course, people say that the 12th man. I mean, they at the Seahawks Stadium is probably pretty much one of the hardest teams to be on the road at. But the Eagles, they've been rising to the occasion. They've been going on the road and beating teams. They've been beating teams on the road, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. I have this being a very good game, so I'm going to go ahead and say, give me the Eagles 31-24 over the Seahawks. Last but not least, we got the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road against the Cincinnati Bengals. Who do you got?
I'm not sure who I got. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I got the Steelers in this game. I don't think anyone in their right mind is going to pick Cincinnati. It's just a matter of, do we think this is a game? The divisional game, and do we think that the Pittsburgh plays down? I could see that. Do we think Pittsburgh just takes care of business and puts them down and kind of puts Cincinnati out of their misery for this season?
Yeah.
I could see that too. It's no matter which you think is more, which do you think is more likely? So I gotta say, I lean more towards, especially a Monday night game.
Yeah, it's a Monday night game. And the Steelers rarely lose on Monday night.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to lose. My only thing is, do I think this is going to be a close game or not?
Yeah.
I think this will be a close game. Just because it's a divisional game and it's in Cincinnati. I'll give Cincinnati some credence on that. But other than that, Cincinnati doesn't really have anything for me that intrigues me. Mixon finally came out last week, had a big game, but that was against Cleveland. This is going to be a whole other animal. However, we did see success from Jamal Williams against Pittsburgh's line, so maybe Mixon can produce that and have the same for himself. I don't think Mixon. Did Cincinnati and Pittsburgh already play this year?
Yeah. And right? I don't think that. Yeah. I don't think Cincinnati is going to have an answer for Antonio Brown at all. Their secondary has no answer for them. AJ Green. I don't know. I think AJ Green will be back next week for the Bengals, but I don't really think that's going to matter. Juju Smith's going to be back next week. They're going to have all three of them. They're going to have Juju, Bryant, and Brown all pretty much lined up next week against their secondary. I think the thing is, you're right. It's probably going to be another one of those situations where they play down to the competition. But the thing is, they're always AFC North matchups are always hard hitting, smash mouth, defensive kind of games. So I don't really see this being that much of a high scoring game. Well, actually, you know what? I do see these two teams probably dropping at least 3 touchdowns apiece on each other, and that's what it's going to come down to. Me personally, I'm going to go ahead and give it to the Steelers 24-21. What about you?
24-21. Yeah, I think I lean more towards it's going to be within 4 to 5 points between these two teams. Unless some crazy stuff happens, someone gets ejected, perfect, tries to take out Antonio Brown or something like that.
Yeah.
Some nonsense like that, which it could happen, especially on Monday night. But hopefully everyone's on their. Hopefully, the teams are on their best behavior. But
definitely.
I don't know. Shoot, what is it? I mean, you know what shocked me though is that is that Tomlin was already talking about the Patriots.
Yeah, he's looking past the Packers and the
Past,
Bengals.
yeah, he's looking past those two teams. So you know what? I don't know if that's going to distract the team a little bit. Probably won't, but it kind of gives you an insight as to where this team's heads at right now. Like they don't really even consider these teams. So I think that might give an opportunity for the Bengals to kind of keep this game close. So yeah, I'm going to say I'll say Steelers in this game, but it's going to be like 26-20.
All right. Well, those are the predictions for Week 13, and yet we're already 3/4 of the way through the regular season. Any final thoughts before we sign out tonight?
Yeah, just we look forward to a couple of these big divisional games. For one, Carolina, New Orleans, as well as who else? I think we're looking at New England, Buffalo, another key divisional game. Just to see if Buffalo gets eliminated, and then Minnesota, Atlanta. I think those three games are going to be very entertaining. Potential game of the week, and kind of like that games that'll shape up and kind of solidify in our minds how this playoff picture is going to start looking.
Oh yeah, and I think it's safe to say that if the Steelers and the Patriots both win their games next week, well, I mean 10-2 is pretty much a surefire shot at the playoffs right now. And I think in the Eagles they've already got their spot locked up. But like you're right, the NFC South is pretty much there. It's a dogfight. Like one game can really turn around everything. It really can change the whole picture. I mean, heck, you can have one team that loses out, lose the next three games. You can have one team, who wins the next two, lose the next one. I mean, it's a whole bunch of combinations and a whole bunch of scenarios that can happen in the next 3 to 5 weeks of the NFL, the next 3 to 4 weeks of the NFL. So it's going to be really interesting going down the stretch. We'll see. Anyway, that'll do it for the Week 13 podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. And always, Boss Top, thank you for being a guest on the show. I appreciate it, man.
Thanks, man. It was good to be on.
All right, thank you. We'll see you guys next week.
You guys